Last time on Cyberphile. We finished off the boss of the Red Hall of Cages, found Hager's Cavern, and talked about the creed we'd be spending the rest of our playthrough loyal to, the House of Splendor. Hello Saltborn, welcome back to another episode of From the Depths, this lore-enhanced walkthrough from Cyberphile. So, let's make some progress in Hager's Cavern, shall we? We made it here last episode, but we didn't make any progress because I wanted to go back and get the creed that I'm rocking right now. Actually, why not get a little attack and defense boost? Yeah, take it. These angsty bones are the worst because of their teleportation. Alrighty, so right over here you can see one of the more disturbing enemies in the game. The Wrathful Dead. And many of the enemies that we fight down here are actually Tristini. From Tristan, that is. And it's kind of interesting that they would come here, which I imagine to be in Coast Rock. So perhaps that this cove isn't in Coast Rock, but instead is in Tristan. Who knows? We're not 100% sure either way. But the Wrathful Dead and other Tristini witches that we'll be fighting were actually subjects of the Tristini witch hunts, which were a brutal witch hunt carried out by a character that we'll talk more about much later, but essentially the peaceful tribes of the Tristini forest people were just peaceful elementists. They practiced harmless elemental magic and tried to get on with their lives. Unfortunately, there was one wretched man who hunted them down and killed as many as he could in the most brutal ways possible. Firstly by drowning, which, by the way, is supposed to be one of the more painful ways to die. So, he drowned them, and then there was also something called bound and scattering. A method that I can only assume is something like being bound and, or drawn and quartered. You can look that up if you'd like, but not for the squeamish. Essentially, the idea was they would attach each of your limbs to a horse, well, 4 different horses, and then they would all make those horses run in different directions until your body was separated from your limbs. So, it's a real thing that people really did. And that's what I imagined being bound and scattered was, something similar. So, we just went down here to get the basement key, which we can now use to access the basement area over to the right here. This is actually underneath the Red Hall of Cages, you can kind of tell from the decor. And there is a trap here, you can see the little thing there. I'll activate it just so you can see, but there you go. And up here, you can get the symbol of affluence, which increases your gold drops, but you really don't need to at any point. I'm having a tough time making this jump, that is. There we go. Normally not too difficult to make, but I do have a heavier equip rate than I'm used to running with, so there's that. So over here we can meet Minty Skells. Don't think we have the drop that we can use to further her dialogue, but we can try. Hey there! I'm Minty Skell, but some call me Devil Skell the Fearless, Scourge of the Red. You can just call me Mints. Some people shrink in the face of danger. I thrive on it. There are 2 types of people in the world. Harvesters and plants. I'm a harvester. What are you? So you obviously have to answer harvester, but it's not good enough. She makes you prove it. Oh, and I do. Good. I have the Red Lord's ear, so you can give it to her. I've harvested a bit, so I've got some nice things to sell. Perhaps we could help each other out. So now you can purchase a couple of the rarer or at least uncommon, ingredients for upgrading your weapons and armor, which I haven't done any of in this playthrough, and I usually don't until near the end of the game, so maybe I'm making things harder on myself, but oh well. So now I've doubled back from that entrance, and we're just going to explore down this way a little bit. There should be a couple enemies for us to fight. Here we go, some armor mites. Do you remember this guy from like way back in episode 1? There's one of them that is in a little hidden area, or episode 2 or something like that. It's after the Sodden Night, but there's a hidden one of these guys in an area, and I was just like, we're not gonna fight him because we'll get our ass kicked. And you know why. They're actually pretty tough. Come on, you. The jump attack is what you want him to do, because it gives you a lot of room for you to attack them. Up here we have some vacant blades, these guys. These guys are actually put in place to keep watch over the boss of this area. And I'll talk about the boss of this area when we get to him, but just keep that in mind. Those guys are stationed here for a reason. Up this way is a mini sanctuary that I'm not going to activate because I don't have to fight all the enemies again. And over here is an endless pit that we can't do anything with yet. So I'm going to double back to the sanctuary so we can use our salt to level up. So here I'm going to actually do a little bit of transmutation, the first time we get to see that in this game. So I have both drops that I need and a little bit of salt. We can make ourselves a more powerful crossbow. There we go. Alrighty, now this time out of Hager's Cavern, we're actually going to head upwards instead of downwards. So a couple of items that we can grab by doing so. These guys don't teleport as often as the angsty bones, but they're still pretty annoying. Gotta be very careful here. Watch out for the Mega Man style platforming. It's not so bad getting up, it's getting down that can be tough. Uh-oh. See, like that. You know, I always hated that about Mega Man. Those are my least favorite parts of Mega Man games. When they have, you know, those platforms, they go boom, boom. Yeah, they're the worst. That and the big yellow guy that you always have to kill near the end of the early games. Ugh. He's the worst. So now we've got more Ember Skulls to deal with. I want to try and only alert. Okay, well, that didn't work out for me. Ended up alerting the whole group. That's okay. Ouch. Thank goodness for our golden wine. Our golden wine, I think, gives us a 1.5 times increase on both damage and defense. So, absolutely great item, especially if you are running a melee build at all. And down over here, take a little bit of falling damage, but we can meet with the Masterless Knight again. The Red Hall of Cages should not be here. It should be in Ascaria. It's an infamous dungeon there, well known for its legacy of blood and misery. So why is it here? Even that castle we were just in. Did it not remind you of Cloudincass in Colchis? I've never seen it in person, actually, but I know enough about it to know that that castle did not belong here. Cloudincass. The Red Hall. These are near-perfect replicas, all together here. Is this the work of some mad architect? I wonder what this cave holds. Excuses are the lies we tell everyone we know, including ourselves. So, you already know that these places are coming from the mainland because I've been talking about them the whole time, but this is the first time that the player gets cued in that something is maybe not right here. So now we're gonna keep heading up a little bit. I believe we'll meet with another NPC at the top. But first, of course, gotta grab my items. Got some more ember skulls to deal with. Wow, the reach on this thing is spectacular. Gotta say, I'm loving this poleaxe build right now. Nice and powerful, plenty of range. Give a shout out to Pax Empyrean on Reddit. I think that's his name. Something along those lines. He's the one who suggested that I try a poleaxe build, and I'm glad I am. I found him. My nobleman, I mean. I recognized his dress. I'd only seen him from afar before, but here he was, up close. Dead. I cut his robes off in search of jewels. You know what I found? I found a brand on his neck. They don't put brands on the necks of noblemen. Know who they put brands on the necks of? Slaves. A slave in nobleman's dress. What's a slave doing in nobleman's dress? My nobleman was a slave. Do you think your princess was as well? Now you actually have to answer yes or it ends the storyline with her, so that's what we're gonna do. You and I are clever, aren't we? Set on fool's errands, shipwrecked on a cursed island. But to what end? There's a dark purpose to me being stranded here, but I'm not foolish enough to see what it is. I'm done hunting treasure. I'll find salvage, craft a seaworthy skiff, and sail southeast. You know the place. Coast Rock. So if she's heading southeast, could it mean that Hager's Cavern is, in fact, in Tristan? Because Tristan is northwest from Hager's Cavern. It's an interesting part of dialogue that I never really thought to think about before. And she also brings up a couple of interesting plot points that could be plot points and could simply be red herrings designed to throw you off. I have my own theories about whether or not the princess was a slave, but we'll address them when we get to them. Whew. He dropped through, almost nabbed me. Oh, nice, we jumped it. That was cool. Oh my gosh. He's relentless right now. Just back off and whine up. There we go, finally. Man, he was a bastard. Get ourselves another charm, and this is actually a shortcut back near the beginning of the game. We're obviously not going to use it, just wanted to open it up. Alrighty, so we've explored the majority of the upper portion of Hager's Cavern, so now we need to double back down and around. These guys are the worst. You know what? I'm just gonna leave them. They'll follow me, I'm sure, but whatever. Here they are. Annoying as always. Look at this bastard. He just pops around wherever he pleases. Whatever. Oh my gosh. What an asshole. You see this? He is a dickhead. Finally. Ah, fuck that guy. Alrighty, so let's keep making our progress to the left here. Ooh, dangerous. Come on. He's got to be only a hit or two away. There we go. Got some marauders. Remember these guys from the beginning of the game? I do. Oof. These guys with the big clubs, with the cudgels, I'm gonna be careful for, because they will send you flying, and there are a number of holes in Hager's Cavern that you do not want to be sent flying down. That's why it's good to take them out with the launcher, so if you can lift them, they're not so much trouble. Come here. There we go. So, you see those witches up there? We killed a couple earlier. Those are more Tristini witches that were caught in the witch hunt. And I, of course, use the term witches not seriously because they weren't witches at all. They were just elementists, but I think you knew what I meant. So now, to continue our progress, we have to make a little detour down here. But first I think there's, yeah, a little charm that we can get over here. The Ring of Brilliance, which will actually surround us with an aura of light. Not really super useful, honestly, but it's a neat item. Why not, right? So here's our little detour. We have to do some upside-down platforming. I think it's really clever level design, actually. All this upside-down platforming that you have to do. I really wish that the upside-down ability here would see action in a boss fight. It never does, but man, that would be really neat if you ask me. Here is where we need to be. Would you get out of here? What a jerk. There we go, and that's opened up where we need to go. You can see the candelabra over there to the left, because that's where the next boss is. Let's grab our items. And we're gonna double back to the sanctuary for the last time in Hager's Cavern before we take on the boss anyway. We'll grab a level, and we will challenge the boss of Hager's Cavern on the next episode of From the Depths with Cyberphile. I'll see you then. Hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more Cyberphile content, and if you liked this video, show me with that little thumbs up button. If you liked this video, you might like one of my other videos. You can click right on the boxes to jump to them. Cyberphile, offline.